All right, really quickly, I want to talk about something. It's really best, and I'm saying this to myself and I feel like sharing it. It's really best to look out for your own interest, no matter how anybody else feels about it, especially when you're feeling like your intuition is telling you to do something. And because people want to argue with you and convince you that your intuition is off, then a lot of times people ignore what their intuition is constantly telling them. And they ignore it because they have this pressure, whether from family, whether from coworkers, or whether from bosses, or whoever it's from, to do something against your own best, do something that your first mind has already told you not to do, and you do it because you're pressured by a lot of things. The problem is always people. The problem is always people. People are in therapy because of other people. People have to constantly do things to protect themselves, and all of this because of other people. The problem is always people. I'm just like, I keep coming back to this. I don't think people are in this particular plane. I just don't think they're going to last very long. Well, most of them aren't real anyway. And so the ones who are real need to go on and wake up as much as possible. Because a lot of the folks that want to call themselves pressuring you into things, whether they brown skinned or whatever complexion they are, they might not even be real. They might not even be real. They're probably jams. Most people are programs. I don't care if they're African. I don't care who they are. So it's not about a complexion. Most people are programs, and there's only few real people, real beings, organic beings, let me say. And a lot of them are programs. Them being programmed is what's holding this whole plane together, the real organic beings who are still programmed. I don't even think it's like 500,000 organic beings. A lot of our souls have been fragmented, and it causes us to be here in these planes because we're fragmented, and we're able to be programmed in such a way that we think the world is what it is, and we think a lot of people are real, and and it's not even real. We're so programmed. And it comes to, but I'm gonna have to get to the point. I know I got off, but the point I'm saying is that a lot of people that call themselves wanting to pressure you into doing something that's against your best mind, it's not even real, and they are programmed to keep you here, to keep you in danger, to keep you doing things against your best will, your best interest, and to keep you here so you can keep them alive, because they're just programs. They know they can't exist without you continuing to stay low. Okay, it could be honestly, it could be anybody. Some of us have been total recalled with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, that movie was Total Recall, when he went to that place because he wanted to go to Mars, but he knew he couldn't physically go there, so he went to this place called Total Recall, and they have all kind of implanted memories. And so you saw a whole movie, and it felt like he was actually there, and he believed he was there. And towards the end of the movie, his dream girl that he actually thought was real, because it feels like real life, just the way this life feels for me, the way this life feels for me, like real life, but really it's just a part of my soul being fragmented. And I probably would venture to say, in Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger probably was fragmented. His mind is now, a piece of him is now in this place called Mars, another type of consciousness. Okay, instead of where his real body is in that machine. All right, this is where I am right now. That's why I say I've been total recalled. All right. I've already been shown that a lot of things I think is real is a bunch of edits. I've already been shown that. And not by anybody physical who told it to me. Okay, I've just been shown it. Okay, but I'm going to get back to it, though, because I don't have a lot of time. I keep forgetting to clear this thing out so I can have space. But anyway, so getting back to it. People do things that go against their best interests because they feel pressure by others. I'm going to use a good example of 9/11. When did that happen? In 2001? I believe it might have happened in 2001. It was 9/11. And allegedly, because I heard a person who was giving a lecture, a person who was giving a lecture was talking about this, okay? And they were talking about how 9/11, a lot of the black people were told to come into work, and a lot of the non-black people, specifically Caucasian people or whatever, were told to stay off of work. A lot of brown people called in because they felt like something wasn't right. Some brown people felt like something was not right. Excuse me, I say black and brown sometimes. I'm still referring to the same people, the people that's called black in the United States of America, not anybody else. But some called off, some said they don't feel right, something feels funny. They were told if they did not come into work, they were going to get fired. And so when you feel like your job is threatened, like you're not going to have a job the next day, and sometimes it's hard to get back on track. After you're fired, sometimes it's hard to get another job, and you could be the only one responsible for paying your bills. But anyway, some of them were told if you don't come in, you're going to get fired. So for the person to know this person that did this lecture to know that, they must have knew somebody from the inside, from somebody who knows about that situation. Because those people died. A lot of those people died. So in order for that person did the lecture to get the information, they spoke to somebody else. They must know some family members of those people or somebody. And I can't even remember, it was Bobby Hemmett who said it, but I don't remember which lecture that was because I've seen so many of them that I cannot remember, you know. But anyway, yeah. Bobby Hemmett was the one that said that. And he said some of the people felt like it was not a good idea to go into work, and they were told if you do not go in, you're going to get fired. This is what they said. If you don't go in, you're going to get fired. And they ended up dying. And a lot of people would say, well, if I don't feel good about ourselves. No, that's not true, because a lot of us don't feel good about things, and we do it anyway. And you know how hard it is, especially somebody living in New York City. And some of the people are responsible for their children and their own bills, and they probably didn't know they were going to die like that. And if they had lost their job, say if nothing ever happened and they would have lost their job, then they would have had to figure out how they're going to have to take care of their family and how they're going to pay their bills, and they might just be homeless and their children might be going somewhere else. I mean, that's a hard life. I mean, you got to imagine being in that situation. Some people say because they weren't spiritual enough. No, they were spiritual, but you in a system. You are in a system. They knew something was wrong. It's not that they weren't spiritual, because they already knew something was up. There wasn't a problem with them being spiritual. The problem is that they are locked in, they feel like they're locked into a situation, and their perception of reality is that I can lose my job, and it don't matter if something was to kill me today. If it don't kill me, I'm not going to have a job tomorrow, and so either way, I'm going to die if something happened. But if I don't die, then I'm going to be probably on the doggone streets, probably wishing I was dead. Okay, that's the situation that a lot of people might have felt themselves to be in. Okay, but at the same time, most of us, a lot of times we do go against our best interests when we are probably, our intuition tells us not to do something and we do it anyway. All right? Even when it comes to your parents, even when it comes to your siblings, okay? Same thing with the story of Kenneka Jenkins, the actual person who actually died, not all these videos they showed, the actual person who died. You know, allegedly she felt like uncomfortable about that day, about going to the hotel that day. She felt uncomfortable about it. She felt like maybe she shouldn't go. This was Kenneka Jenkins as a person, I think it was the year 2017, something like that. And supposedly at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Chicago, something happened where she was killed and put into a freezer. That story right there. Okay, that Kenneka Jenkins. All right, for people who don't know that story. Okay, but I think the year was 2017. Anyway, she felt like the actual day that she went, she allegedly felt like that's something that probably would not be a good idea. And it was not a good idea. It was not a good idea. And so what I'm saying is, I'm saying this to myself too, is that when you feel like you should not do something, you really should not worry about disappointing other people, because it could cost you your life. And I'm saying this to myself, because you might have commitments. See, the problem is you might just have commitments, and but something all of a sudden comes up where you say, this is not going to happen. A good example is Final Destination, that movie called Final Destination. This guy had a premonition. He saw that that plane was going to blow up and he was going to die. A lot of people was going to die. The people who was chosen to die were going to die. So he woke up and said, I need to get off the plane, But the problem is, if that was your time to die, people have to understand how things work with the simulation, and how things work with the ego and all that stuff. If you are slated to die because something else is controlling your destiny, if you are slated to die and you try to escape that, and you do escape it, it's going to come back and try to find you. So it's almost like you gotta find a way to rewrite your soul story or something. You gotta find a way to get around that, because if you escape it, find a way to get around it, it's going to keep coming back and looking for you. But anyway, same thing with Final Destination, when people wanted to, I think a guy came up and punched him in the face or something. I can't remember. It's the first Final Destination that came out in the movies, when that guy had a dream that the plane was going to crash and blow up, and he woke up and said the plane's going to blow, or something like that. And then he started acting crazy, and I think he got punched in the face and knocked out. That's the level of peer pressure that goes on. But when you're in a plane that's about to take off, it's hard to get up and say, oh, get off, we're going to die. It's hard to do that. It's hard to get up and say that, because most likely the pilot, they ain't about to open up them doors after it's closed. Okay? So you got to be really very confident within yourself, and not give a damn about how anybody else feel about it, to get up when the plane is already boarded and they done lock the doors and close it and say, get me the hell off this plane. You got to be very comfortable within yourself. A lot of people are not comfortable within themselves. I don't care who try to say they are. A lot of people are not that comfortable within themselves to do that. I'm saying this, I feel like, because it's very important. It was something for me, but I feel like it's very important for people to get it. If you feel strongly that something is something that you should not do, and you need to go with it, you need to learn how to trust yourself, and forget about other people who want to argue with you. Okay, especially if you for the most part are a reliable person. For the most part, if you are a reliable person, you're very authentic. And then something comes up where you say, I don't feel good about this, then really people should be more supportive. But unfortunately, sometimes people aren't. But if it's a person who's always coming up with excuses every single chance they get, then it's hard to people to go along with that. Even if your intuition is really telling you something, if it's a person that's always lying, then it's hard for people to even take them seriously. But yeah, I'm just speaking in the case of, something is not right for you. And he's like, well, you might be happy, you might want to fire me too, but, if I don't go with my own intuition, it might not look good, right? And it's best just to let them go and be unhappy with you. If they feel like they want to be unhappy with you and be mad at you and want to fire you, whatever the case may be, divorce you, whatever it is, then it's best to go and let them go, because if your spirit is telling you that something is not right for you, and the people in your life cannot support you, then they might just need to go. That's a sign that they need to get the hell on out your life. Okay? But anyway, with that being said, I'll talk later.